Welcome to Power Up Recovery with Nutrition. It is time to make nutrition part of the conversation. I'm your host, Christina Veselak, and I'm so glad you're here. Did you know that it's our brain's job to allow us to cope with stress gracefully? But to do that, it needs to be fed optimally. Have you ever wondered why so many committed people relapse or maybe even die? Why so many people on psychotropic medication still feel lousy and still have cravings? What if the missing piece is food, the right food? What if the right nutrients like amino acids or even eating protein every 4 hours could actually balance your brain chemistry and your mood without medication and support lasting recovery? In this podcast, we explore the powerful connection between feeding your brain well, mental health, relapse, and recovery from addiction. We will share insights from experts, inspiring recovery stories, and practical strategies you can use today. Whether you're in recovery, a healthcare professional, or someone passionate about emotional well being, this show is for you. Let's dive in and discover how fueling your body and brain with the right food, the right amino acids, and other key nutrients can fuel your transformation today. Welcome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Power Up Recovery with Nutrition, where you can hear amazing stories of recovery using the power of feeding the brain what it needs to repair itself, cutting edge science, and stories from the field, stories from practitioners who are taking this information into their own communities and into the lives of their own clients. And so today I'm having a conversation with Ketino Beim, who was one of my, I think I pronounced that correctly, who was one of my students a couple of years back. And we're going to hear all about how she integrates this into her coaching business. Welcome, Ketino.
Hello, Christina. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. So, who are you and what do you do?
So, I am a national board certified health and wellness coach, and I am a recovery nutrition coach level 2, which, yes, I started with you a couple years back, but I have just graduated with level 2 not that long ago. And this has been probably the best contribution into my professional career. I have become a health coach back in 2020, and just that path that led me to you was absolutely miraculous, I would say, because without this information, I just don't know where I would be right now.
So, where do you live? Where do you have your practice?
I live in Phillipsburg, Kansas, which is a rural area. I have the closest bigger town about an hour from me, and big city about 5 hours. So I'm in the middle of nowhere pretty much. And we enjoy it that way. My husband is from here. We have a tremendous family support, and the communities
Mm.
here. Yes, we love it. We love it, love it, love it. However, when I was looking for resources, if I were not to find you, thanks to our friend in common who told me about you, I wouldn't have known what I know right now. I wouldn't have been able to help as many people as I have in the recent years.
I'm so happy to hear that. So, let's hear about some of the people you've helped and how you've been able to put amino acid therapy into practice.
Well, it all started with myself, right? The usually we search something because it is important to us, and I feel like it was just such a pivotal moment in my life. After I had my third child in 2019, I have decided to be a stay-at-home mom and just do the things with health because I was always passionate about exercising, eating well, and there's this connection between food and mood has been evident to me for many, many, many years. So I have become a bar instructor, then a health coach. And then I found myself eating well as in thinking that I do everything right, and it was just my thing.
Uh-huh.
When I found myself just in this dark place where I couldn't just enjoy life, and
Right.
I just self-diagnosed myself, and I thought I was depressed because that I had all the signs, everything was great in my life, yet I wasn't enjoying it, and I wasn't there for my clients either at this point. And I remember crying and praying and opening my email and seeing that you were having a meeting to talk about connection between mental health and nutrition. And I talked to you and Mark, and that's where it began. I started to help myself slowly but surely. I thought I was eating healthy, I was exercising, I was spending time with the children. But first, I found out that it is very common after a couple years of having a child, still feel that way because our bodies get depleted. I was being pregnant and breastfeeding, and it was my
Mhm.
third child, and I wasn't that young anymore. I was in my late 30s, and I was like, well, that totally makes sense. And I've learned
So
about
that's
amino
the fish
acids.
oil. That's the depletion in the omega-3 fatty acids. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And in the middle of Kansas, we weren't eating much fish either.
No, I imagine not.
Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing that when my friend Dana that told me about you, she was at my house visiting from Colorado, and she says, when I feel in the dumps, Ketino, I just open up a pack of tuna and eat it. And it just startled me. I was like, what? She's like,
Yes.
yeah, Christina Veselak, you should check her out. And I was like, I know her. And
Uh-huh.
started from there. But yeah, it was an omega 3.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, Ketino, because so many women do not realize that I've never even heard of the omega-3s or kind of sort of heard of fish oil and know it's important, but don't know why. And the World Health Organization in the 1980s said that all pregnant and lactating women should be supplementing with extra omega-3 fatty acids because baby's brain eats it all up because, it coats every single brain cell and helps support the retina. And so baby's brain is growing even while it's nursing.
Yeah,
And so as women, if we're not supplementing, and especially if we have baby after baby after baby, we get so depleted. And postpartum depression is one of the symptoms of low omega-3 fatty acids.
absolutely. And also, habits like I was a health coach, but for some reason I drank a pot of coffee a day. And that was
Uh-huh.
depleting my neurotransmitters. Drinking coffee first thing in the morning was creating this anxiety in the afternoon and cravings and all of that. And I do remember thinking after I figured that out, like, how in the world did I not know that? Or that
Right.
habitual glass of wine where you think it's just going to relax you. Nobody says that one glass of wine is bad for you. But then when you start learning the effects of it on your brain, and you're like, okay, let me try to do without it and see how I feel.
Hmm.
And definitely cutting out that first thing in the morning coffee or just having one cup after breakfast. And, this already eliminated my cravings in the afternoons for
Nice.
sweets or for wine and things like that. So that was just little things, right? But they're not so little.
Upward spiral.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I started to integrate it in my practice. I started seeing clients again. I did take a break during that time because if you're not filled, how can you give? You just can't. So it took me a little bit, and then I started to incorporate this knowledge into my practice and kind of focusing on the brain part of things. And
Mhm.
when you focus on the brain, everything else just falls into place.
Really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So in getting yourself back together, you changed some of your dietary habits, you added the omega-3 fatty acids, but what about amino acids? Did you find them to be helpful at all?
Absolutely. Yes. First of all, figuring out where I had depletions. I figured out I was low on serotonin and GABA, and utilizing those amino acids, 5-HTP and GABA, L-theanine, that's just made a world of difference for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you didn't need that glass of wine anymore to chill out.
No, I didn't. Not on a daily. I still like my wine, but it's not, I didn't need it every day to chill out. Just exactly right.
Right. Right. We want those things to be treats,
Yes,
not to be, necessary scaffoldings of our lives.
absolutely. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that just became such a inspiration for me to help
Uh-huh.
women that are going through the same thing that I am. You
Yeah.
hear this moms that, I'll tell you from my personal experience, you feel bad about yourself. You think it's all your fault. It's all in your head. You're not good enough mom. How could you have snapped at your children? Only when you start
Right.
to realize that it's biochemistry of your brain. And if you don't feed your brain properly, you can't be responsible fully.
That's right. But, if nowhere in popular culture do we talk about feeding our brains. We talk about eating because it's fun or it tastes good or it's healthy or
Right.
it's social, right? But we don't talk about, well, we want to eat healthy to reduce depression and feel happier.
Yeah,
We reduce anxiety and feel more relaxed, to sleep better, to have more energy and focus and drive, right? That's never
absolutely.
part of the conversation. And yet
Yes.
it's so crucial.
Yeah. It is very crucial. And most of my clients that I start working with at first tell me that they experience sleep problems. It is just such a common issue these days. And actually, when I started working with you, I started to go through the academy. I also had sleep issues,
Mhm.
and I feel like that's such an important part of your well-being, getting to the biological, biochemical root cause of that problem.
That's right. And I think a lot of people also don't realize, people just talk about, well, insomnia. I have insomnia. Well, there's different types of insomnia for different reasons, just like there's different types of depression or different types of anxiety for different reasons.
Right.
And we actually, drill down to find out what type of insomnia this is, and therefore what to actually effectively do about it.
Yeah. Oh, I can't tell you how many women thank me for just teaching them to eat before bed, just having a little bit of
Mhm.
protein.
Yeah, yeah.
And that would just help them sleep through the night because they are not, their blood sugar doesn't go up in the middle of the night, waking them up, and, their cortisol.
Or blood sugar going down, leading to cortisol going up. So, do you have any particular favorite stories?
Well, I was just thinking, talking about my own journey, I was just thinking about this mother I worked with. She's a mother of
Mhm.
4. That just touched me so much because she did a lot of things. She was trying to lose weight and feel better, and she had some health issues. But what touched me the most is that she said since I think her older child is 10 or 11, since before she had this child, she didn't feel a spark of spontaneity. Like she said she was a very
Oh,
spontaneous person. She would just
mhm.
drive somewhere and have fun. But ever since she started to have children, it was just go, 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 and never time to take a break, or, she just didn't feel that
Right.
spark. And then when she started working with me a couple weeks afterwards, she said she was just driving with children and she felt a spark to go to the lake and look at the birds and just have this great time with them that was absolutely not planned. And that was
Her
very, very,
spontaneity had come back.
yeah, that was so special for me. And what we did, like, yes, she was hypoglycemic, so her blood sugar would go down. It was so we first of all we fixed her breakfast, right? Because it's number
Hmm.
one thing. You want to eat full protein rich breakfast. Also, you don't want to skip your meals. I think the common misconception was people that are wanting to become healthier. They think
Right.
that if you just eat less, it's just somehow better for you,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you would lose weight and all those problems will go away. But what we teach is completely different. You
Hmm.
don't skip your
Hmm.
meals because you have to feed your brain. You eat
That's right.
protein every 3 to 4 hours, depending where you are.
Blood sugar nice and stable.
Yep. And also figuring out what might be what might be missing.
Wonderful.
Because if you can start taking supplements, but if you have absorption problems, then you wouldn't be able to absorb them as well. Like I had a client with gallbladder removed, and she had all sorts of issues, and just simply putting her on digestive enzymes with ox bile helped her so much. She was
Yeah.
just absorbing better. She said her digestion was better. She was just feeling better. So just little things like that, that are not little. I would say they're little
No,
because
they're
it's so
so
easy to do.
simple.
Simple.
Right. They're
It's
very
not even
simple, but they're
simple.
actually part of really complex processes in the body that matter to our health and well-being.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's another example. We worked with this woman who was depressed since age of 7, she told me. So it's right away I'm thinking maybe she has pyroluria, right?
Mhm.
And we test her for pyroluria and for zinc and copper. And sure enough, we find out she's borderline pyroluric, but most importantly, her zinc levels are so tanked
Mhm.
that her body is not capable of producing those neurotransmitters and
That's
supporting.
right.
Because if you're low on zinc or high on copper, which she wasn't high on copper, she was just fine.
Right.
However, just giving her that zinc also made a
Uh-huh.
huge difference. And she just wrote me not that long ago saying that she ran out of zinc and she felt it. So she reordered it right away.
Great, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zinc is another one of those nutrients that does a million different things in the body, and yet we never talk about it. Vegans, especially, can be zinc deficient because so much of it is found in animal protein, but it's required to make all of our calming neurotransmitters, to make serotonin, to make GABA. But even with guys, it's required to make testosterone. And
Yeah.
so, if these poor little teenage boys aren't getting enough zinc in their diet, and now they're going through puberty, and their body's taking all their zinc, for reproductive health and taking away from the brain. And
Mm-hmm.
now we have boys who are anxious and upset and depressed and getting into trouble. And, oh, it must be the hormones,
Yeah.
or it's just a bad kid. Well, it could just be zinc deficiency because they're not getting it in their diet.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And speaking of teenage boys and girls, zinc for boys, what would you say is so important for girls, teenage girls?
Well, for one thing, it's really important to be keeping blood sugar stable because as teenage girls start menstruating, PMS makes blood sugar more dysregulated. And that's where some of the tears come from and the sugar cravings and the upsets because blood sugar tanks and adrenaline kicks in, and sometimes we can be an emotional mess,
Yeah.
right? But you get that protein in every 3 hours. At the end of our cycle, serotonin drops as estrogen drops, serotonin drops, as progesterone drops, GABA drops. So again, we're more anxious, we're more teary, we may not sleep as well, we're more reactive. And bringing in some extra 5-HTP doesn't even need to be very much. Bringing in some extra GABA
Mm-hmm.
can just help feed the brain what it needs, stabilize mood and behavior, help these girls and their moms get over these humps.
Yeah. And how about iron for the girls since they're starting to menstruate?
Iron for the girls as well. Because once
Mhm.
we start bleeding, we're losing iron every month. And symptoms of low iron can actually be headaches, can
Mhm.
be ADHD, depression, fatigue, learning
Mhm.
issues.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're getting enough in our diet, but many, many young girls don't. And this is
Yeah.
where a good multivitamin with enough iron comes in.
Yeah.
But you don't want to give that multivitamin to brother, you
Right.
see, because
He does not
men
need
and
the iron.
boys don't need extra iron, usually. I mean, unless something's wrong and they do, but then that's going to show up on a blood test. But
Mhm.
typically they don't.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
thank you,
all these
Christina.
little tweaks, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That make a world of difference. in the way we feel.
Now, do you work with addiction at all or just mental health issues?
Mostly mental health issues. I feel like I'm starting to go in the direction of helping people with maybe not so, terrible drug addictions, but
Sugar, alcohol, sometimes wine,
yeah,
maybe?
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
working with alcohol at this time, and I'm rereading the book by Matthew Larson, 7 Weeks of Sobriety, and
Mhm.
it's just such a tremendous book. Um,
Yeah, it is.
you can read it 10 times and still find something new in it. It's just, yeah, I'm working with a client right now. So I'm just, because it's such a big responsibility. And,
Yeah, it
I
is.
never wanted to go into this direction, but sometimes we go where we're meant to go.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was just an eye-opening experience for me a couple months ago when I came across a person that we were great friends with in childhood. And seeing her personality change so tremendously just affected me in a way that I did not expect because
Mhm.
I realized that I was very mad at her for being that person, but then having this compassion, that understanding that this is a disease,
Mhm.
and just coming from that perspective. And again, we can't help anyone if they don't want help, right?
No,
No.
no, because the thing is that people may not want help to stop drinking, but maybe they're also getting irritable all the time, or they're anxious all the time, or
Yeah,
they're not sleeping very well. And they're more than open to receiving help around, not sleeping or being irritable or anxious. And so
yeah,
you bring in those nutrients, those amino acids, the food that helps reduce those symptoms. And then they come back and look at you and say, do you think maybe this would help me stop drinking? Right? Sometimes people don't want help because they've tried and tried and tried and tried, and it's hurt so much, and they've been so disappointed, and they have so much embarrassment and shame that they don't even want to try again.
yeah, yeah,
And so we come in sideways. We
yeah,
help with the things they are willing to accept help
yeah.
and start this upward spiral. And then
Mhm.
people will say, oh, you know what? I'm drinking less, or I'm smoking less weed, or do you think
Mhm.
it would help? Can we try something for this? And now you have an open door.
That is a very good point, Christina. And that's one thing that I so appreciated about your program is that you have so much compassion for people with addiction, and you kind of ingrain it in your students. I feel like I've learned a lot of compassion from you.
I'm
And
glad.
another great thing about your program is that I wouldn't call it even an educational, it's like a mentorship program because you're always there for us throughout
Okay.
this whole time. And I think that's very rare to find of personal interactions with your teacher, instructor, professor, you know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's important to me, Ketino, because I've had to teach myself so much of what I know. I did not have a lot of mentors. And so it's really important to me to help others out in a way that I didn't get, because it took me a really long time to get where I got to. And so I want to make it a little easier for other people, cut that amount of time down so that you are more powerfully able to be out there in the world in a faster period of time to help other people.
yeah. And you certainly do a good job with that. Thank you for that.
Thank you. You're very welcome. I appreciate that. So anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
Whenever you experience bad emotions, and if you're anxious or depressed, or you think you're an angry person, maybe, just maybe, you need um, biochemical support for your brain.
Yeah.
I encourage you to explore that route before you put any labels on yourself, because I have seen it firsthand how it can change lives. And that's all I have.
Oh, thank you. And definitely before you go on medication, because so
Right.
often by using this approach, we can avoid medication.
100%.
Well, How, if people want to reach you, Ketino, and this information will be in the show notes, how can they reach you?
I have an Instagram page at mood underscore biochemistry, also Facebook page, mood biochemistry spelled together. And I have a website, but it's very long. I don't think people would remember that.
Okay,
Yeah, but you can definitely find my website by clicking on my page on Instagram and or Facebook, and just reach out. Even my personal Facebook or Instagram,
nice.
Ketino Beim. Just reach out. I'm here.
Wonderful. Well, I encourage everybody to make use of Ketino services because you're so sweet and
Oh,
knowledgeable and compassionate.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Christina.
Well, thank you all for listening. And if you liked this episode, please push the like button and subscribe and share this with a friend or a colleague. See you next time. Thank you for tuning in to Power Up Recovery with Nutrition. I'm Christina Veselak, your host, and I hope today's episode has inspired and equipped you with new insights and tools to support your recovery journey or practice. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with others who could benefit from the knowledge shared here. Stay connected with us for more episodes filled with practical advice, expert wisdom, and inspiring recovery stories. Remember, nutrition is a powerful tool in mental health and relapse prevention. Power up your recovery today. I'm Christina Veselak, and I'll see you next time.